Welcome back to the third and the final session of strategic management. We stopped last time talking about porters by forces, threats of new entrants. The third force is threats of new entrants. How easy is to or how easy is it for new competitors to enter your market? Solo creators on Patreon, Substack, and other platforms can now reach global audiences without traditional gatekeepers. The startup costs have plummeted. You do not need a printing press, distribution network, or bookstore relationships anymore. Some writers are building six-figure incomes directly from readers without publishers. This low barrier to enter means competition keep increasingly anyone with a laptop and internet connection can become a writer. This sounds democratic and wonderful, and in many ways it is, but it's also mean that competitive pressure constantly intensifies new entrants flood in the market, making it harder for everyone to get noticed. The strategic response is to build advantages that new entrants cannot quickly replicate: established audience relationships, reputation, specialized expertise, or network effects that get stronger over time. Now let's go for threat of substitutes. The force a threat of substitutes, alternative products or services that satisfy the same need. Video games, short form video content, podcasts, and social media, all competitive for the limited time consumers might otherwise spend reading. Americans now spend less than 16 minutes per day reading for pleasure, down from the 23 minutes a decade ago. That's a dramatic decline. This isn't just about books competing with other books. It's about books competing with TikTok, Netflix, Xbox, Instagram, and YouTube for people's attention and leisure time. A teenager deciding what to do on a Friday night might choose gaming with friends over reading your novel. That's a substitute. This threat forces writers to think about their value proposition differently. You are not just competing with other writers, you're competing with every other form of entertainment and information. Um, your work needs to deliver value that satisfies the time investment compared to all these attractive substitutes. Now let's move to buyer power. The fifth force is buyer power, the leverage that customers have. Readers increasingly demand diverse content influencing editorial decisions and publishing strategies. Communi- Communities on platforms like Goodreaders and Book Talk can make or break new releases through collective recommendations power. A book goes viral on BookTok and suddenly it's selling hundreds of thousands of copies. Another book gets negative reviews on Goodreaders and sales collapse. Readers have more power than ever because they can organize collectively and amplify their voices through social media. They can also easily switch between alternatives if they do not like your book. Thousands of others are one click away. This high buyer power means you need to be genuinely responsive to what readers want. You can't just create in isolation and expect readers to appreciate your genius. You need to understand your audience deeply and deliver value they actually desire, not just a value you think they should want. Now let's move to summary. Porter's five forces framework help you analyze competitive dynamics in your specific domain by understanding these five forces: industry rivalry, supplier power, threat of new entrants, threat of substitutes, and buyer power. You can identify areas where competition is most intense and therefore potentially less profitable versus areas where structural advantages might allow for more sustainable success. For creative professionals, this analysis should inform key decisions about which genres, formats, or platforms to focus on and how to position yourself within them to maximize your strategic advantage. For example, if you analyze the forces and realize the mainstream commercial fiction has intense rivalry, now barriers to entry power, substitutes, and among buyer power, you might strategically choose to position yourself in a niche with less competitive pressure. A strategy is about finding favorable competition or competitive train or terrain, not just working harder in unfavorable terrain. Now let's go to the strategic choices, differentiation strategy. Now let's explore Michael Porter's generic strategies framework, which helps clarify the fundamental strategic choices about how you will compete. The first option is differentiation strategy, creating truly unique content that stands apart from mainstream offerings, allowing you to command premium prices or dedicated followings. Examples include experimental poetry that pushes formal boundaries, deep in investigate journalism requiring months of research, literary fiction with distinctive stylistic innovations, or multimedia storytelling that blends traditional and digital forms. The trade-offs with differentiation are important. You'll have a smaller potential audience. Not everyone appreciates experimental work, but higher creative investment and freedom. You might earn more per reader because you're offering something they cannot get elsewhere. Think of literary authors who sell fewer books but at higher prices with devoted full followings. Differentiation works when you can create something genuinely unique that a specific audience values highly enough to seek out and pay premium prices for. Now, let's move to focus strategy. The second strategic option is focus strategy, targeting a specific niche audience with specialized content tailored to their unique needs or interests. Examples include a young adult fantasy with specific cultural influences, like West African mythology, technical writing for specialized professional fields like cybersecurity, academic publishing in emerging research areas, or content for undeserved demographic groups like middle grade books featuring disabled protagonists. The trade-off with focus strategy, you develop a deep connection with a specific audience who feels like you're writing specifically for them. You face less mainstream competition because most writers chase broader markets. However, you're valuable to shift your niche if that specific audiences interested change. Your in trouble, but you also have the potential for thought leadership. You can become the voice for that particular leadership. Focus works when you have genuine passion and expertise in a specific niche, and when the niche is large enough to sustain your career, but small enough that others overlook it. So let's go now to number two, cost leadership strategies. A third strategic option is cost leadership strategy, producing high volumes of accessible content efficiently, competing on price and convenience rather than uniqueness. Examples include mass market genre fiction of following established formulas, high volume content production for digital platforms, standardized educational materials or textbooks or adaptations and works building on existing intellectual property. The trade-offs: you have a larger potential audiences because you're producing broadly accessible content but lower margins per unit because you're competing on volume and the price. You face more competition because many people can produce this type of content. However, you benefit from economics of scale. The more you produce and the more efficient you become, and the more you can leverage existing audiences relationships. This strategy works if you can produce consistently and efficiently at high volume while maintaining acceptable quality. Think of romance authors who publish 6 books a year or content miles, producing thousands of articles. It's not about being the best, it's about being good enough at scale. Now let's go to hybrid approaches. The fourth option is hybrid approaches. Many successful creators employ combinations of these strategic strategies at different stages or across different projects. Examples include best-selling authors who alternate between commercial series and experimental works, journalists who balance daily news coverage with long form investigative pieces, or publishers who maintain both prestigious literary imprints and commercial divisions. The trade-offs with hybrid approaches yet get greater flexibility to adapt to opportunities and changing market conditions. You have diverse or diversified income streams, so you're not completely dependent on one market. However, you risk potential brand confusion. Readers might not know what to expect from you, and you face higher operational complexity because you're essentially running multiple strategic plays simultaneously. Hybrid approaches work best when you have enough capacity and the skill to execute multiple strategies well, and when you can maintain distinct trends or contexts for different types of work so audiences aren't confused. Now let's talk about Porter's key insight. Michael Porter's generic strategies framework helps clarify the fundamental choices about how you'll compete. The key insight is that trying to be everything to everyone typically results in what Porter calls a struck in the middle, a strategic mediocrity. You must make deliberate trade-offs to excel in your chosen direction. You cannot simultaneously be the most unique and the most affordable and the most focused. These strategies require different capabilities and create different value prepositions. The worst strategic position is trying to be somewhat differentiated, somewhat focused, and somewhat low cost, you end up with no clear advantage. Instead, you need to choose your primary strategic direction based on your capabilities, your market opportunities, and your personal values. Then commits to it fully. This doesn't mean you can never change strategies, but at any given moment, you need clarify and you need clarity about how you're competing. Now let's go to the 100-hour rule. Now let's talk about execution. Because as Thomas Edison said, vision without execution is hallucination. You can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, but if you don't execute it, it's worthless. Malcolm Gladwell popularized research suggesting that the mastery in any field typically requires around 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. For writers and creative professionals, this translates to years of consistent, focused effort. Let's do the math. If you practice your craft for 3 hours per day, 10,000 hours takes about 9 years. If you practice 5 hours per day, it's about 5.5 years. There isn't just passive participation, it's active skill development with feedback and improvement. You can't just write 10,000 hours of medical content and expect mastery. It needs to be deliberate practice, identifying weaknesses, getting feedback, trying new techniques, pushing beyond your comfort zone. Strategy points you in the right direction, but execution through sustained deliberate practice is what builds the capabilities your strategy requires. Now let's go for from concept to competition part one. So the journey from concept to completed work requires breaking down abstract goals into concrete steps. Let's use writing and publishing a novel as an example. The first phase is research market analysis to understand what's selling in your genre, what readers want, where the gaps are, and content planning to develop your premise, characters, plot structure, thematic elements. The second phase is skill development, targeted learning to address gaps in your capabilities. Maybe you are weak at dialogue, so you take a dialogue workshop. Maybe you struggle with plot structure, so you study stories structure deeply. You identify specific weaknesses and deliberately work to improve them. The third phase is a production schedule, specific time-bound milestones. Not I'll write a novel someday, but I'll complete the first draft by June 30th, writing 1,000 words every weekday. Breaking big goals into smaller milestones makes them achievable and gives you regular wins to maintain motivation. Now let's go to from concept to completion part two, continuing our execution framework. The fourth phase is feedback mechanisms. Early readers who can give you honest reactions, developmental editing in identifying structural issues before you invest too much in revision. You need external perspectives because you're too close to your work to see its weaknesses or to see its weaknesses clearly. The fifth phase is revision process, systematic improvement cycles, not vague. I'll make it better, but specific passes. One pass focused only on character development, another focused only on pacing, another focused only on prose level craft. The sixth phase is compilation benchmarks clear definitions of done when exactly is your manuscript finished, when you have incorporated all feedback, when you revise the 3 times, when an editor says it's ready without clear completion or criteria, project is dragging on forever. The seventh and final phase is launch strategy, publication, and promotion planning. How well you actually get this work into readers' hands once it's complete. These 7 phases transform I want to write a novel into a systematic process with clear steps and deadlines. Now, let's go to from concept to completion, part 3. Let me emphasize again these critical phrases in execution: revision process, systematic improvement, cycles where you methodically enhance your work, completion, benchmarks, clear definitions of done, so you know when to stop tinkering and release your work, launch a strategy, publishing or publication and promotion, planning to so your work actually reaches its audiences. Most creative people are good at the initial creation phrases. They have drawers full of half-finished projects and the finished projects that never reached anyone. Strategy requires seeing projects through to completion and impact, not just to creation. Your goal isn't to write novels, it's to have novels read that requires completion, the full execution cycle from concept through launch and promotion. Each phase is equally important to strategic success. Now let's go to chapter 4, the strategic writer's toolkit. So welcome to our final chapter, the Strategic Writer's Toolkit. In this chapter, we explore specialized strategic concentrations for creative professionals in the digital age, from responding to technological distribution, especially AI, to building your personal brand. These tools will help you navigate the unique challenges and opportunities facing writers, editors, and the media professionals today. We'll also examine your role in the broader literary ecosystem and how strategic thinking can shape not just your career but the future of communication itself. This is where we bring everything together and give you practical tools you can start using immediately to build your strategic creative career. Now let's move to AI existential question, threat, or tool. Let's confront let's confront the elephant in the room: artificial intelligence. The emergence of sophisticated AI text generators like ChatGPT, Cloud, and Bard presents perhaps the most significant strategic challenge for writers since the invention of the printing press. These systems can generate essays, stories, marketing, copy, and even poetry in seconds, raising profound questions about the future value of human writing. This is genuinely frightening for many writers. If a machine can write competent prose instantly and for near free, what the value of a human writer who takes hours or days to produce the same content? This is a legitimate strategic threat that you cannot ignore. But like all strategic challenges, it's also an opportunity if you respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. The key is understanding what AI can and cannot do and positioning yourself accordingly. Now let's move to uh, say that the first strategic response to AI: learn to use AI as an amplifier, not a replacement. Incorporate AI tools for research, brainstorming, editing, and formatting. tasks that support rather than replace your creative process. For example, use AI to quickly research background information, generate multiple angle ideas for an article, get a first pass edit to catch obvious errors, or format your manuscripts to different specifications. Writers who master AI as an assistant can dramatically increase their productivity while maintaining their unique voice. Think of AI as a power tool. A power tool doesn't replace the carpenter, it amplifies what a skilled carpenter can accomplish. Similarly, AI doesn't replace the writer, it amplifies what a skilled writer can accomplish. The writers who will thrive are those who learn to use AI effectively while maintaining the distinctly human elements that AI cannot replicate: original insights, emotional depth, ethical judgment, and the authentic voice. Now let's go for focus on the human advantage. So the second strategic response to AI, double down on the aspects of writing that AI struggles with. Focus on empathy, lived experience, ethical reasoning, cultural nuance, and genuine emotional resonance. AI can mimic a style but cannot truly understand the human condition it attempts to describe. It has never experienced love, grief, joy, or suffering. It has never made a difficult moral choice or lived through a challenging life experience. These fundamentally human experiences and the wisdom they create are your competitive advantage. When you write from deep personal experience, when you grapple with genuine ethical dilemmas, when you capture subtle culture nuances from actually living in a community, when you create emotional resonance from understanding human psychology, these are things AI cannot truly replicate. It can approximate them by pattern matching from its training data, but it cannot create them authentically. This is your superpower. Learn into your humanity. Now let's move to develop hybrid skills. The third strategic response to AI, develop hybrid skills. Position yourself at the intersection of human creativity and technological tools. Editors who can improve AI generated content, fact checkers who can verify AI outputs, underwriters who can prompt and direct AI systems will have valuable roles in the emerging content ecosystem. Think about new rules that are emerging: AI content editors who take AI generated drafts and transform them into genuinely good writing. AI prompt uh, engineers who know how to get AI systems to produce useful outputs. Quality control specialists who can quickly identify AI-generated content and evaluate this or its accuracy and usefulness. Hybrid writers who use AI for the tedious parts and apply human creativity to the meaningful parts. These hybrid roles combine human judgment with technological efficiency. Instead of being replaced by AI, you become the person who makes AI useful. This is strategic positioning, finding the valuable space between pure human work and pure machine work. Now let's move to your personal brand strategy from anonymous creator to recognized voice. So now let's talk about personal brand. In the digital age, your brand is your strategic narrative, a story you tell about yourself, your work, and your unique value. Unlike corporate brands with marketing departments and advertising budgets, your personal brand emerges from the consistent patterns in your work, online presence, public intersections or interactions, professional relationships, and public statements. Your brand is what people think of when they hear your name. When someone mentions you in conversations, what do others say? Or she's the one who writes dark psychological thrills, or the journalists who covers climate policy, or she writes beautiful literary fiction about immigrant experiences. That's your brand, the consistent association people make with your name. You're building this brand whether you're conscious of it or not. So you might as well build it strategically and deliberately. Now let's go to a strategic brand development. Think of yourself as Author Inc. or Creative Communication LLC. A professional entity with strategic positioning, target audiences, and a value proposition. This mindset shifts, or this mindset shift helps you make more deliberate choices about specialization versus versatility. While you build deep expertise in a narrow domain, becoming the ego or the go-to expert on Victorian literature, on the leading voice in climate fiction, or will you demonstrate versatility across multiple areas, becoming a cultural omnivore or omnivore who connects diverse ideas, or a writer who works across multiple genres? Neither approach is inherently better. There is different strategic choices with different trade-offs. Specialists can command higher prices and they become recognized authorities, but there is vulnerable if their niche declines. Generalists have more flexibility and a broader appeal, but they struggle to become known for anything specific. You need to consciously choose your positioning based on your capabilities, market opportunities, and the personal preferences. Now let's go for voice and tune. Another key brand decision, voice and tune. Will you cultivate any authoritative academic voice, an accessible conversational style, a provocative contrarian perspective, or something else entirely? This choice should align with both your natural inclinations and your strategic positioning. If you're naturally funny and casual, trying to force an authoritative academic voice will feel inauthentic and be hard to sustain. If you're naturally serious, not analytical, trying to be funny and casual will feel forced. But within your natural range, you can make strategic choices. A journalist covering it serious topics might choose a more formally voice to convey authority, while a lifestyle blogger might choose a friendly conversations voice to build intimacy with readers. Your voice should be authentic to but strategically calibrated for your goals and audiences, and it should be consistent across your work so people recognize you immediately. So let's now to go to platform strategy. You also need a platform strategy, which a combination of LinkedIn, portfolio, website, blog, newsletter, social media, and traditional publishing will best reach your target audience and showcase your unique strengths. It isn't about being everywhere. That's exhausting and ineffective. It's about being strategic about which platform support your goals. If you're writing for business audiences, LinkedIn might be essential. If you're writing young adult fiction, TikTok might be crucial. If you're writing literary fiction, traditional publishing and literary magazine credits might matter most. If you're building a direct relationship with readers, email newsletter might be your primary platform. Choose platforms based on where your target audience actually spends time and where you can effectively demonstrate your unique value. Then commit to those platforms constantly rather than spreading yourself then across everything. Quality and consistency on two platforms beats its product presence on 10 platforms. Now let's go for um, the strategic literary criticism or citizen discern strategic intent. As a student of both English and strategic management, you have a unique opportunity to become not just a participant, but an informed analyst of the literary ecosystem. This perspective allows you to discern a strategic intent, to learn to recognize the strategic choices and the businesses models behind every text platform and media company you encounter. Why did Amazon launch Kindle Unlimited? It's a strategy to build subscription revenue and lock readers into their ecosystem. Why do some newspapers maintain paywalls while others rely on advertising? Different strategic choices about monetization and audience, what strategic shifts are revealed by a publisher's acquisition patterns if there is buying more diversity focused box, their positioning for demographic shifts, if there is buying more celebrity memoirs, they're chasing commercial safety. Everything you observe in the industry reflects someone strategic choices. When you can decode these strategies, you understand the forces shaping your field and can position yourself accordingly. Now let's go to anticipate industry evolution by applying frameworks like Bristol and Polster and the Porter's five forces to the creative industry. You can anticipate changes before they become obvious. This foresight allows you to position yourself advantageously for emerging opportunities rather than scrambling to adapt after disruption occur. For example, if you notice technological trends towards voice activated devices and analyze how this might change reading habits. You might position yourself in audio storytelling before it becomes oversaturated. If you observe social trends toward the shorter attention span and analyze the implications, you might develop skills in short form content before it becomes essential. If you track economic trends and see recession indicators, you might build financial cushions or shift toward recession resistant content areas before budget get cut. Strategic anticipation doesn't mean prediction the future perfectly. That's impossible. It means staying alert to signal, analyzing their implications, and positioning yourself to benefit from likely scenarios rather than being blindsided by them. Now let's move to shape ethical futures. Strategic understanding comes with ethical responsibility as AI battles monopolies and attention economics transform creative work. Your generation will make crucial choices about compensation models, intellectual property rights, and the social value of human creativity. These decisions will shape not just careers but cultural or but culture itself. Will creative work in the future be valued and compensated fairly, or will it be devaluated or devalued, sorry, to near zero as AI floods markets with cheap content? Will intellectual property protections evolve to protect human creators, or will they erode? Will we develop sustainable economic models for quality journalism and literature, or will every thing becomes clickbait and algorithmic content? These aren't just economic questions, they are questions about what kind of culture we want. Strategic thinkers who understand both the creative and the business dimensions. You're uniquely positioned to advocate for ethical outcomes. You can be the people who shape more equitable, sustainable features for creative work rather than just accepting whatever emerges from pure market forces. Now let's go to dual vision. The most effective strategic thinkers maintain both a ground level understanding of craft and bird's eye view of systems. So, by developing both perspectives, you become not merely a creator but a strategic literary citizen, someone who can both navigate and influence the evolving landscape of communication. This dual vision is particularly valuable in periods of technological and economic disruption when established models are failing, but new paradigms have not yet solidified in these liminal spaces, which is exactly where we are right now. Those with strategic literacy can help craft a more equitable, sustainable features for creative work. You're not just trying to succeed within the existing system, you're helping to shape what the next system will be. This is the highest form of strategic thinking, not just playing the game well, but helping to write the rules for the next game. That's the opportunity available to you as a strategically literate creative professionals entering the field during this moment of profound transformation. Now, let's move to conclusion. The story is strategically told. As we conclude, remember that strategic thinking is not about eliminating uncertainty, an impossible task in creative fields, but about navigating it with purpose and adaptability. You will face uncertainty throughout your career. Markets will shift, technologies will emerge, industries will be disrupted. Your own interests and capabilities will evolve. So you cannot eliminate this uncertainty, and trying to do so will only frustrate you. Instead, strategy gives you tools to navigate uncertainty, frameworks for analyzing your engagement, environment, process for making decisions, principles for choosing directions. It's about making conscious choices rather than drifting with currents. It's about building sustainable advantage rather than chasing momentary opportunities. We began this journey with blockbusters, caution retail, a powerful reminder that even market leaders can fail without strategic vision. This story shows what happens when you lack strategy, draft decline, and ultimate failure despite abundant resources. Now let's move to tell you that the world is your blank page, but strategy is your pen. Your journey as a strategic creative professional as just beginning. The frameworks and concepts we'll explore: the pestle analysis, SWOT analysis, porters of five forces, competitive advantages, generic strategies, execution frameworks, personal brands are not rigid formulas but flexible tools to support your unique path. Use them when they're helpful, adapt them to your circumstances, combine them in ways that make sense for your specific situation. As you move forward, continue to refine your strategic thinking, remain alert to changes in your environment, and maintain the courage to adapt to when necessary. Strategic thinking isn't something you learn once and you're done. It's a continuous practice of observation, analysis, decision making, execution, and adjustment. Embrace the chaos because it's not going away. Define your purpose because without it, you'll drift. And write your own extraordinary future, one strategic decision at a time. Uh, so thank you for your attention over these 3 hours. I hope you know or you now see strategic management not as dry business theory, but as essential tools for building a meaningful, sustainable, creative career. You have enormous potential, but potential alone isn't enough. Strategic thinking will help you transform that potential into actual achievements. I encourage you to start applying these frameworks immediately. Do a personal SWOT analysis this week. Identify your competitive advantage. Make conscious strategic choices about your positioning. Build execution systems that support your goals. And remember, in a chaotic, disrupted, rapidly changing world, strategic thinking is your compass. It won't generate success, nothing can, but it will dramatically improve your odds. I look forward to watching your strategic creative careers unfold. Now, go write your future.